Central Infused. We are separated, but all together at the same time. We are with COVID cases going up continually. I think the last number in Mississippi was 1,800 cases in a day. We are trying to make sure we're socially distant. So now you can see a clear look at all of us in the video here. So we're once again joined by our CEO and General Manager Kevin Doddridge.
Hello, everyone. Justin, thanks for putting this on.
It's not a problem. This is actually a little bit easier of a setup for me, I think. So just record the screen here. We have our Director of Marketing and Business Development, Michael Bellapani.
Hey, y'all.
And our Director of Safety and Loss Control, JD Cox.
Glad to be here with you, Justin.
Glad to be here in all separate corners of the campus that we have here at North Central. So I'm just I think we are separate. We're going to keep things kind of a little short, but we wanted to give you guys an update for December. So I'm just going to toss it over to you, Kevin, and you can tell us what you got to say.
Yeah, thanks a lot. You mentioned at the beginning the COVID and how we're trying to stay separated even more so now. And anybody that's followed the news knows how the cases are in rapid acceleration. And we're experiencing that at North Central today. And we've had probably over 45% of all of our personnel that have been affected at some point by this virus, whether they've actually had it and been isolated or exposed and had to be quarantined. And right now at North Central, we're drifting because things change daily, but we're drifting between about 10 and 15% of our employees being quarantined for one reason or another. I was on a conference call with other cooperatives this morning throughout the Southeast, and that seems to be a trend everywhere. And that should concern us and concern you for multiple reasons. We've probably all heard talk about the virus and people that have gotten it and probably haven't gotten that sick. But you have to remember, you're asymptomatic or get around some others, you can spread it to someone who is at risk. And people at risk at this moment are not faring very well. And our hospitals are full. That's conversations that I've had with hospital officials. And at one point, they were actually at capacity. And that's kind of a moving target as well. But we're about it, and we're concerned for the very same reasons that we were concerned back in late February, early March. We want to keep our employees safe. We care about our employees. We want to keep them safe. And to extend that, we want to keep their families safe. We don't want them to have a virus that poses a great risk to their family members. Number two, we want to keep the lights on. Keeping the power on is basic blocking and tackling here at North Central. It's something that we must do. The concern that we have right now with our personnel, it's a good diversity, a good spread, so we don't have a lot of cases in, accounting and our clerical staff or engineering or line construction spread out. The concern is that it could focus in one area, and it focuses on one area just through basic carelessness. Not somebody wanting to spread it, but just something where we just don't think for a little bit. And probably our biggest concern now is that we get a lineman that could be positive, and for a span of a little bit more than 15 minutes and a proximity of 6 feet, that individual is in contact with a lot of other employees. And if you look up and we start losing 5, 8, 10 linemen at a time, then we are really compromised as we're heading into a time of year, early December, when we typically do have a warm front come through or dramatic change in weather, and we have the occasional tornado. The threat of ice usually begins in December as well. So as far as keeping the lights on, we've got to make sure that we're able to do that. So that's why we monitor this so closely, and we monitor it daily. And that's the reason I'm having conversations with others throughout the valley to see if others are having that problem as well. So we'll be in a position, if we do have severe weather, that we can reach out to those others for assistance immediately if we need to. Another thing that we followed, and I don't know if we're technically in a post-election time of year or not. I guess there was an election. We're just doing the further review, and that's a happy rebel. Further review usually doesn't have a good ending. But still looking at the election result, and we follow that closely because we do. The electric co-ops were born out of Washington, D.C. and federal legislation and executive orders, and also the Tennessee Valley Authority. So we've got a TVA board that at the moment is not fully staffed, and there are several recommendations that have been made that we would like for our current U.S. Senate to go ahead and try to take care of that when they can. Try to get that in before the end of the year. We don't need that process starting all over again. Our concern for TVA is ever since North Central's inception, they have supplied us 100% of our wholesale power. They have been a partner with North Central ever since we were created. We need strong leadership at TVA. We currently have it. TVA has been an incredible partner to North Central. And people don't really understand the overall effect the Tennessee Valley Authority has through the management of the water system and the generation of power, which right now is pushing roughly 35 or 34,000 megawatts produced. That's the capacity of the system, and probably some 160 billion kilowatt hours generated each year. And 40% of that's through nuclear power and over 12% through hydro. So you're looking at a large utility that is generating more power with fewer emissions, and has been a great asset to North Mississippi, Tennessee, North Alabama, and Georgia, and parts of Kentucky. So we do follow what goes on. TVA, being an authority of the federal government, they really are limited in their lobby to the federal government. So they rely on us, their wholesale customer, to try to make sure that we stick up for those local power companies in the Valley and its membership and communities that really see the benefit of being in the Tennessee Valley area. I'll move on to fiber briefly and just say, I know everybody's anxious. We're building about a mile a day. Our contractors are staying healthy. I think I gave you the numbers last time, roughly a mile a day, somewhere around $45,000 to $50,000 a day spend, and we hope it's going to pay off. And we're trying to do it in a real strategic manner so that we are trying to get to rural consumers, but at the same time, not going to have a void of cash flows that kind of limits the size of the project. So we're carried on like that. For those of you that are anxious to get high-speed internet to your home, I hope you'll look at these days as leading up to Christmas. As that, if you remember when you were a kid, on Christmas Eve, you were worried and you were anxious and you were really looking forward to something. So for those of y'all that are having to wait, remember, it's going to be a great deal when you get it. It's going to be a great product. So we hope that you'll be anxious from a positive standpoint, because you got to remember, the anxiousness of Christmas Eve will blend into Christmas Day when you're going to see something that says some assembly required. So there to get you service, it's going to take a little bit of time as we're building in drops and doing installs. So bear with us. We are moving as fast as is responsible, and we said we're going to do that all along. We don't want to threaten the viability of the electric distribution co-op. So we're moving at a very responsible and strategic pace, and we're going to be really excited to roll this product out to you.
In the meantime, you got Michael's hat to look at there. He's got that new hat.
Limited edition.
I am jealous.
This is the first run, so hopefully we'll have many going out.
So yeah, going from there, we've been talking about COVID, and nice sticker on your cup there. I'm sure Richard Cushing would appreciate that. But we were talking about COVID earlier, and that has canceled a lot of community events. I know that there's at least one Christmas parade in our service area that's been canceled. And so is there any other sort of events that we know of, Michael, that are being canceled due to, pandemic scares?
Yeah, I mean, obviously our nonprofits are just not able to hold the normal gatherings that they would. And what we're doing as sponsors are trying to continue to support them, ask them really what their needs are. And it's been a blessing that we've been able to do that, because from a budget standpoint, a lot of our activities have been canceled too. So cash flow has held pretty pretty well, and we're able to continue supporting those organizations. But anything where you've got gatherings is pretty much it's pretty much been canceled through February, as far as I'm hearing.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll go from there. It is the holiday season, even though there is a pandemic happening. So, JD, what's your safety advice this month?
Yeah, glad to be with you here, Justin. And just to kind of piggyback on a couple of things that Kevin talked about, and I guess I'll go ahead and start with COVID. Our main concern, naturally, when this whole thing started, and it hasn't changed, and that is to keep our employees safe, to keep our members safe, and to keep the power on. And in order to do that, we have to maintain a workforce who can carry out all the different strategic plans that we have for different situations. And I was looking at the most recent numbers, and just to kind of put it in perspective of how important this is to us, because as many of you already know, some of our construction crews have some of the most dangerous jobs in the United States. They work them very safely every day. But one of our main goals is we don't want one of our employees to end up in a hospital or an emergency room right now. And part of the reasons for that is in the state of Mississippi, on a daily basis, normally there's about 6,500 staff beds available in the state. Right now, between COVID and just other things that naturally go on in the hospital, there's only about 2,000 staff beds available right now in the state of Mississippi. Now, if you think about a population of roughly 3.5 million people, that gives you pause and gives you concern. And when you further break that down and you look at the actual ICU beds that are available, ICU beds available for COVID patients in the state of Mississippi is down to about 150. So again, day in and day out, it is so important to us that our crews are out there, working safely, following the procedures and the safety rules that they're supposed to, because we don't want them to end up in the hospital. Kevin mentioned going into this time of the year, we have the potential certainly for ice, tornadoes, severe weather as the weather patterns change. First and foremost, going into this time of the year, if your power goes out, please report it. Don't assume that we know about it. If you come into an area where you see a down power line, please, for your safety and for others around you, stay at least 50 feet away from any down power line that you see. Assume that the power line or whatever line is on the ground, assume it is energized. Call us, report it. We'll send somebody out to make it safe, make sure everything's all right, and then we will go through the very methodical process of restoring the power. Generator safety, very important. We learned in the hurricanes that we had in South Mississippi, unfortunately, we had quite a few people who suffered loss of life actually to generator and not using it properly. So if you're going to use a generator, first make sure that it's hooked up properly, that disconnect is properly installed so it doesn't endanger our linemen and apprentices out there in the field trying to restore power. Make sure the generator's grounded. Whatever you do, don't run the generator indoors. That's where most people get into trouble, especially some of our older members. And absolutely do not refuel the generator while it's hot. Those are just a few tips as we go into the weather pattern changing a little bit. Just keep those in mind. Just like I would like to say that everybody here is doing a good job. Our crews have done very well. They are working safely, doing a good job, and we're doing everything that we can to make sure that if you need us, if your power's out, if you need us, that we can be there. And with that, that's all I have.
All right. Well, that's going to be about it for us. If you, we are posting this on Monday, November 30th. If you have a chance, we are having a blood drive on Tuesday, December 1st. That's tomorrow, if you're watching on Monday. We are giving away a $50 Amazon gift card to anybody who donates. There are extra precautions in place for COVID-19 concerns. So, but Vitalent's going to be here in our auditorium on Tuesday, December 1st from 1:30 to 5 p.m. They'll hook you up with a free cookie and a T-shirt after you're done. So,
Hey, Justin.
okay, yes.
What'd you say, Kevin?
One more thing. Let me jump in there. I talked earlier about the partnership with TVA. We've had another great partnership, and Michael has done a lot of work with Community Foundation in Northeast Mississippi to make sure that the funds that we partnered with TVA to acquire have been advanced, to make sure they've gone to worthy cause, make sure that they've been matched. A little plug in there, the executive director of that foundation is Keith Fulcher, and he's going to talk about that and probably other matters as far as year-end giving. If you listen to Mississippi Public Radio, 90.3 on your radio dial, he will be on there tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock on a show called Money Talk. So a local guy giving a little advice, and a guy that's been a great partnership to North Central.
Absolutely.
That's right. And this community care fund has been just an awesome opportunity. Again, to recap, TVA established this matching grant program, and North Central has given a total of $30,000, which was matched in full by TVA, and then further matches by the Maddox Foundation. And we're getting close to, I guess, with the Community Foundation raising close to $1 million in the feed fund, which is helping to meet food insecurity across our state, particularly in the 11-county footprint. The Maddox Foundation is really want to hit that. They're wanting to hit that $1 million goal, and I think that we're maybe a couple 100,000 shy. So, if any of your organizations or you personally want to give to this effort, it will be matched. You reach out to cfnm.org, contact the Community Foundation of Northwest Mississippi to see how to contribute. And I wanted to circle back real quick and just elaborate, because I know we'll get questions on Northcentral Connect and what's going to happen. What can they expect? What's the timeline for the first in-home installation? We don't know. We're close. We're very close. Within a matter of probably 2 weeks, I think it's safe to say. All of our equipment has been configured. We're waiting on connections from our suppliers, which would be Zayo and Comcast, for our, I guess, what you'd call our trunk feed for the fiber. If you are in the Red Banks Road area, Ingram's Mill area, you have seen a ton of construction going on. I drove down through there the other day, and there were 4 line trucks in the air at the same time. So just a ton of activity going on. We're still accepting pre-registration, and for those of you that are in the first phase to receive service, you can now sign up for service. We're accepting executed service agreements, so that speeds up the process when we have a drop construction at your home, and we'll be able to go right into it, and you'll have your package already selected. We had a couple of comments, just people questioning the pricing model and how we came up with that. We have done a deep dive into the competitive market of what the current incumbent providers are offering as far as a speed package versus price, as well as what the other co-ops are offering. And, we've compared that, and we created these packages. We intentionally priced them with better speeds at a more affordable price than the majority of our competitors. So be assured that we've put a lot of research into this. And for those of you that are spending $80, $90, $100 a month for satellite internet, you're not paying that much for the same service. This is something that will be totally life-changing. Be patient with us as we go through this process. There's a lot of moving parts going. We've got contractors in the field doing make-ready work, making sure that these poles are changed out. We've got right-of-way trimming going on, clearing paths to make sure that we've got the clearance for this fiber, and just a ton of work to be done. And Also, I wanted to remind members just to be on the lookout during the holidays that we still have contractors in the field that are doing other things for us. Osmos Utilities is inspecting poles throughout our service territory. So you may see a contractor drilling around the base of the pole and treating the pole. That's what they're doing is they're inspecting it, testing it, making sure that it's safe. And we still have annexed utilities out in the field replacing our meters. For those meters that were installed in 2008, those automated metering infrastructure meters, which are read by a power line carrier, those have reached the end of their useful life, so we're in the process of replacing those. Same exact functionality, other than it gives us a little more capability of disconnecting and pinging the meter for more accurate and safe outage restorations. So, sorry to jump in and throw that out there,
right.
but I just wanted to make sure we hit everything
Absolutely
before we signed off.
Yeah. So you said tomorrow morning, Keith Fulcher with the Maddox Foundation is going to be on Mississippi Talk Radio 90.3.
90.3.
90.3. Okay. So that's it. That's Tuesday morning, December 1st. And then you listen to that program. Then you come over to our auditorium, give a pint of blood, and we'll give you a Coke, a cookie, and a T-shirt. All right. Well, y'all have a great December. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. All that good stuff. We will be back in 2021.